Namaste, yogis. This is the full moon report from Karma Yoga Center. I'm Katrina Marie, and today we are talking about the full moon in Libra again. The last time I did a full moon report, it was also in Libra, but the moon, who I have right here in the sign of Libra, is at the very end of Libra this time. And last time I did the full moon report, it was at the very beginning of Libra at 0 degrees. And so now, when we hit fullness, we'll only have a few hours in Libra, but technically that's 2 full moons in a month's time in the same sign of Libra. So what does that mean? Well, that's a pretty significant, huge boon to us to have that double header full moon in one side. It's giving us a double down or an extra dose. And the sign of Libra represents balance and relationships, so balancing our relationships. And the moon is our inner feelings and how we feel internally, how we talk to ourselves internally. So 2 full moons in the sign of balancing relationships is asking us to really take a look at our feelings about our relationships at this time. And it's saying, hurry up now, pronto, because in just a few hours after it's full on the 19th, which is Friday, it's going to move into the sign of Scorpio. So if we don't take care of all that business in our relationships, it's moving into Scorpio, which I like to think of the moon in Scorpio is like emo heaven. It's like being your inner goth and getting to go to the cemetery and having a little ciggy at sunset. It's like totally perfect. It loves its home. It dwells there in a certain sense. It likes to dig up into the shadow of your feelings. It likes to feel everything. So if we didn't deal with all of our inner feelings about our relationships and balance them, when we cross over into Scorpio a few hours later, we're going to begin to purge it, merge it, burn it up, burn it out, transform it in some way, because that's the nature of Scorpio and that's our inner feelings. So my big emphasis at this report time is to talk about getting ourselves balanced in our relationships, taking a stand for what we believe in and defining our values, because if we don't, the universe is going to help us out, and there's a few aspects I'll talk about that help that. Now, the reason I say take a stand for what you believe in and your values, because this full moon is on Friday the 19th, but not too long after that, the sun is moving into the sign of Taurus. It's been in Aries, and it's going to slide into Taurus. And Taurus is all about standing your ground. It's about your values, what you believe in, declaring them, owning them, and like taking that bull snort and demanding that you have your turn at what you believe and how you feel, and you're taking possession of those feelings. And so there's a nice merging as we cross into these new thresholds for us to, really be who we are and how we feel at this time. Talking about the sun, another aspect I want to bring up at this time, the sun is going to move into the sign of Taurus, as I said, also in Taurus, very close in conjunction on the 23rd. But just as we're in the energy of it, the Sun and Uranus, great uncle Uranus, are going to be conjoined. And this can bring a whole lot of empowerment and a sense of authenticity and standing for who you are. Taurus is that grounded energy, and Uranus in Taurus is standing in your ground and standing for who you are, and the sun up to that empowers it. It gives it an extra outward focus of this kind of unique or authentic person that you are. If we don't pay attention to this cosmic lineup for us to be in our power, to be our authentic self, to be our unique Shakti self, to use a Sanskrit term, we might feel like a misfit or an oddball or disassociated, or that we don't belong in the unified field, because it might feel like we're kicking out. Especially if you look, I have the sun here is in the sign of Aries all the way up until the 21st. Even though they're close together in this close conjunction, Uranus is actually in Taurus all the way up until the 23rd. So that line of separation between them could increase that sense of separation. So after the 23rd, the Sun and Uranus will be in the same sign of Taurus, both having that empowerment of earthy Taurus energy to ground down. But until then, we might feel split. But don't let that fool you. Use that Sun empowerment regardless to help you, and that Aries energy to stand for what you believe in. Define your values. I know here in Denver we have an election coming up. I assume that would be the case across the nation. I should know that. But on May 7th, we're voting for our mayor and a couple big initiatives in our city. And this is a time to stand for what we believe in. And there's a lot of tenderness about being outspoken on the political front. And we tend to play shy or keep it quiet or do a secret vote. But this is saying no, stand up for what you're representing. Tell other people how you feel. What are your values? Be in that stand your ground, in other words. This is all part of helping to balance that relationship energy with the moon in Libra, because relationship is also, of course, with your lover, your family, your co-workers, your siblings, your friends. But it's a relationship with self. It's a relationship with spirit. It's all relationships. So this is asking you to get your relationships balanced before the universe steps in and helps you merge, purge, or burn it out itself. One of the other aspects of the moon at this time that is helping us with that purging of our energy around not being authentic, not standing our ground, not being who we are, not balanced in our relationships is this dynamic trio that's in Capricorn, and it has been in Capricorn for a while. And it's kind of a precursor for some big energy for the collective, not just the individual, that's rounding the corner in 2020, November of 2020. You're going to see this trio, which this little B here is representing the south node of the moon. And I know this is hard to read, but this is Saturn and this is Pluto, south node of the moon. In 2020, Jupiter, who's currently in the sign of Sagittarius, is going to slide in next, and this trio becomes a quad, and all four of these energies are going to have a strong hit like we've not felt in a long time in the year 2020, in November of 2020. So speaking of elections, that's when all this lineup's going to hit. But let me tell you about this lineup. The current lineup is the trio, South Node, Pluto, and Saturn, all together in this tight hug. And the moon is in a square to them while she's in Libra over here. And she's squaring against Pluto. So our inner self, how we talk to ourselves, our inner feelings, is squaring our deep soul self, the part of ourself that has always been and will always be and knows all the secrets of our existences, this life and past lives. And so there's a truth reckoning. It's already like you can't try to bullshit a bullshitter, because your soul self knows all the bullshit. And it's sandwiched up against the south node of the moon, which represents your past lives. So your inner feelings are dealing with all your past shizzle, what we call some Sqaures or karmas in the yogic tradition. And then also with it, so there's a power play here. Whenever the three are together, they're all working together with their energies, sharing and making it a super power play. Saturn is the judge, the disciplinarian, the lawmaker. And so your little inner self, your little moon self is going up, squaring against your soul self that knows everything, your past life self with all your egos, and your judge, disciplinarian, lawmaker. And it's saying, get your business in order. Get your business in order. Figure out who you are. Define your values for this square here. And then coming around the corner, the moon keeps moving. It changes signs every 2.5 to 3 days. And as it cruises around on the 23rd, it's going to be squaring with Mercury, and this little bee is representing Chiron, the wounded healer, and Venus. And these guys are all making a trine. Again, saddling two signs. We have Chiron and Mercury in Aries, and we have Venus over here in Pisces. And the moon will have come around and she will square with these three. And Chiron and Venus make a tight conjunction also on the 23rd. And they are going to, Chiron is healing and Venus is love. So you can use maybe this kind of spanking of what are you doing with yourself. And I didn't mention, but I consider Uranus and the sun together to be a potential for radical breakup. It could be breakup of an old habit that you've been carrying around. It could be breakup with a partner or a lover. It could be breakup with work and job. It could be breakup with a family member. It could be breakup with yourself and your old ways and old dealings. But this Sun-Uranus conjunction in Taurus could have a huge lightning bolt of shift in your life. So this little trio over here of Mercury, the communicator, and Chiron, the healer, and Venus, love, could have a really nice soothing effect on some of these breakups. If we use Mercury, the communicator, in a negative way, or we shadow our, hide our heart and don't let the wounds come to the surface to be healed by Chiron, or if Chiron plays the martyr or victim, then the healing's not going to happen. But if we open ourselves to this healing opportunity, great communication can be had, letting go of old attachments to old relationships could be healed at this time. So take advantage of the cosmic lineup right now and put yourself in a position to receive that medicine. For sure, that's a great one. So just to recap, we have probably the big guys. I'll put the moon back over here, almost into Scorpio, but full moon in Libra, second one. So double indicator that we need to balance our internal emotions and our relationships with self and others. We've got the sun moving from Aries into Taurus, and it's going to be conjunct Uranus, and the Sun-Uranus conjunction can bring about radical empowerment for standing for who you are, being your authentic, unique self. Conversely, it could have radical breakup, and that's not necessarily a negative thing, but just be mindful of it. You could be using the healing energy of Venus and Chiron and Mercury to communicate and let go of some of these attachments around the old wounds, but be aware not to let it become victimization and miscommunication around what you really mean to say on those. And then, like I pointed out, this lineup of Pluto, Saturn, South Node. Just get used to hearing that. You're going to see that a lot as we get closer. People talking about this. They already are. It's a big focus, a big shift. And Jupiter sliding in is going to be the whammy that sets it. But right now we still have these three. This B is representing the South Node. Pluto and Saturn are all in a tight conjunction, and the moon at this time is also squaring it. And it's saying your big self is asking your little self to step up to the plate. Do or die. Make a choice. Stand for what you believe in. Be your authentic self. Be unique. Don't be afraid to speak your values and your opinions about things. But let that Mercury-Venus conjunction be useful, and say your words with sweetness, with loving kindness, with compassion. You can make a point without being harmful or hurtful with your words. Your words have so much power. So let your communication have that honey in the heart speaking behind it. And then that will heal the heart with Chiron right there sandwiched in between. That's the full moon report for this time on April 19th, 2019. Michael will be back on May 4th with the new moon report. Until then, you can look at our website. We have a membership available for our astrology videos. Outside of the new moon and full moon report, Michael puts together all kinds of other videos that can tell you about the houses. They can tell you about some of the lesser known planets like Chiron and Black Moon Lilith, It can tell you about your personal signs and just how to navigate the wheel in general. Namaste. Blessings.